Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. You never know when you're going to have to call your mom up to put out a fire. But the show must go on, so if you want to see how I made my mom this delicious Mother's Day dinner and how the disaster unfolded, then you're going to want to watch till the end. I really want my mom to feel the love this year, so I started off by hand shredding a pound of mozzarella, a pound of Colby Jack cheese, and a half a pound of sharp cheddar. And I got my hands in there and I mixed it all together until it looked nice and blended. Then I wanted that mac and cheese to be nice and flavorful, so I took a Sazón packet and put it in my noodle water. I must have really been in my Nara Smith era today because I started baking honey butter cornbread from scratch, starting with combining 2 cups of yellow cornmeal, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup sugar, 2 tablespoons baking powder, and 1 tablespoon salt. After thoroughly mixing all my dry ingredients together, I then moved on to my wet batter, which is 2 cups of milk, 2/3 cups of vegetable oil, 2 eggs, and the secret ingredient, 1 can of sweet cream corn. And I gave that a nice good mix all together until it looked all nice and smooth, like so. I then made a small well in my dry batter and slowly started to pour in my wet batter. It was smelling so good already, guys, and I haven't even started baking it yet. It was just looking like pure liquid gold. Moving on to my candied yams, I melted 1 stick of unsalted butter before whisking in 1/4 cup of white sugar, half of a cup of brown sugar, and to that I added a splash of vanilla, some cinnamon, nutmeg, and I found this special cinnamon toast crunch seasoning that I also added in there. It was just so bomb, and I gave that a nice mix. Once I got done mixing that, I just poured in 2 cans of candied yams that I found at the store and added some cinnamon and some of that mixture and folded it in before adding my marshmallows. Moving on to getting my cornbread ready, I took a stick of unsalted butter and I just buttered up my pan before pouring in that cornbread mix in there, and I moved on to my chicken. I washed and dried my chicken. If you don't wash your chicken, that's a-okay. That's your personal choice. And you know what they say, it ain't seasoned if you ain't sneezing. So I'll put the seasonings on the screen, but to bind all of this together, I put in 2 beaten eggs. I honestly should have put in 1 just because I didn't have that much chicken, but it should look like that once you're done. And I know how you guys be on the internet. If you guys don't see it, it's not real. So I do wash my hands in between each and every process and I make sure I get under those nails. I filled up my pot a little bit less than half with vegetable oil to get ready for my chicken. Next, I'm prepping my seasonings for my mac and cheese. I went with some Pollo Asada adobo just because I ran out of chicken bouillon, and then I also went with some smoked paprika, garlic, onion powder, and some Dano's original seasoning, and then I just gave that a nice good mix around. Melting 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, I added about half of that seasoning mix in there and gave it a good whisk before adding 3 tablespoons of flour and mixing that all together until it got super thick. And then I added 1 can of evaporated milk and gave that a good mix until it got to this thick like consistency. It kind of already looks like a cheese sauce before adding in 2 cups of my heavy whipping cream. After I mix that all together, add in the remainder of that seasoning blend. And the next step, you're going to add about half of that cheese mixture that we made earlier and slowly stir that in so that way the cheese can melt fully before you add the rest. And that's what that looks like. I forgot to add some Dijon mustard. Trust me on this, it's super, super good. Add about a little tablespoon and mix that all in. You're welcome for that. So I took about half of my macaroni mixture and I put it in the pan before layering with some cheese and then going in with the remainder of that mixture on top and then finishing it off with the cheese. You want to put a lot of cheese on top because you want it to get nice and cheesy and brown on the top when you go to broil it. So this is what everything looked like before I put it in the oven. We have the mac and cheese, we have the yams, and we have the cornbread. Using those same seasonings I put on the chicken, I also put it into my flour and just gave that a good mix. And shout out to all the moms out there because my mom did indeed put out this fire for me. RIP to the candy yams. It's something about when me and my sisters link up because those were in the oven for 20 minutes and the second they walked through the door, it caught on fire. But moving on, I then started making my honey butter mixture and it was just honey and butter and I glazed it on top of my cornbread when it got out the oven. And this is what everything looked like. It came out so bomb, guys. RIP to my candy yams. I was really excited for it. That's it for today's video. Shout out to all the moms out there. You are so appreciated and so loved. Happy Mother's Day.